All right, we're ready to begin with Auburn. We'll ask Coach Pearl for some general thoughts on the game. Then we'll take your questions for Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. And then we'll excuse them and finish up with Coach Pearl. So, Coach, would you begin?
Just want to start off by congratulating Chris Silva. I think if Frank Martin wanted to put a picture of a player up that said something about South Carolina basketball, my guess is it come pretty close to Chris Silva. He didn't come to South Carolina as a first-team all-conference player, but he certainly became one, and he was the face of South Carolina basketball. He plays as tough, as hard, as physically. He is the entire game plan when you're preparing for the Gamecocks. So I want to congratulate him and Hassani Garrett, Trey Campbell, the seniors. They're not done playing basketball, but it's always great to compete against those guys. Very proud of these two guys here. Jared Harper stuffed the stat sheet. He had 27 points, but he also led his team in rebounding. He led his team in assists. He led his team in so many ways. And you cannot beat a South Carolina team that extends and puts that much pressure on you without a great point guard. They just didn't have anybody that could stay in front of him. And as far as Bryce is concerned, he made 5 bombs. Okay, he could have made 15. Okay, that's how dangerous he is, and that's how much we want to try to get him open. And but he played 36 minutes without a turnover. It means he sort of let it come to him. And a great stabilizing force, and played solid defensively. So great win. Last thing I'll just say, Horace Spence, our bench, key to the game today was we outscored South Carolina's bench 23-2. And at this time of the year in March, a lot of coaches will shorten it just because it's one and done. And we're not going to go that way. We got to trust our bench.
All right, we'll take your questions for Jared and Bryce. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a floor microphone to you. And please remember to direct your question to a specific player. Let's go ahead and start on the aisle.
Jared, you had 19 points in the second half, got to the free throw line, shot 14 free throws. What was your mentality there in the second half, and what was clicking for you?
Just trying to continue to get downhill and transition in the half court. I think a couple possessions I was able to get the rebound myself and take it end to end, able to get to the foul and able to make layups. So just coming to the game, coach wanted us to push the break, whether it's a made basket or a missed basket. We're a better team when we're out running in transition, so we were able to do that tonight.
Raise your hand if you have a question for either of the student athletes. Raise your hand. All right, let's go to the front row on the right.
This is for Bryce. Talk about defensively, the job you guys did the second half. I mean, it was a tie game. You guys were able to kind of lock down there, especially on the perimeter. I know Silva got his, but talk about the job you done on the rest of the guys.
We know they have a couple shooters, and that was part of the scouting report, pressing up on the shooters, making them drivers. Thing with Silva was just making the wings catches hard, so it would be a long pass into the post area. And so our job as guards, me, Jared, and Samir and Malik, was just to frame the guys on the wing and just not make the passes a little tough, so they wouldn't be so easy to get to Silva. And I think we did a pretty good job of that later in the game, second half particularly.
Okay, let's take a question on the right side on the aisle.
Bryce, what makes Jared such a special point guard and player?
Just because he's able to do everything pretty much. I know he kind of makes it look easy when it's late in the game, 3 minutes left, a lot of pressure on the line, and when you have a guard that's just able to, just get past his man at will, like easy. That's not a real easy. He just makes it look easy, and he gets to the free throw line, knocks the free throws down. That just comes from being experienced and just going to work ethic. And he's in the gym every day working at it, and that's why he's such a great player.
Other questions for either of the student athletes? Raise your hand. Last call. All right, we'll excuse the student athletes. You can return to the locker room. We'll continue on with questions for Coach Pearl. Raise your hand, and we'll get a floor microphone to you. Let's start right on the front, on the right.
Coach, I know you just talked about the bench, 23-2. And talk about Horace Spencer. I thought one of the bigger shots of the game was the three he hit. You've been teaching him how to do that?
I've not been teaching him how to do that. Maybe Marquise Daniels or Wes. interesting that we are a team that we encourage our guys to shoot when they're open. And we try to bring the 3-ball into Horace's game this year. Spent a lot of time in the summertime working on it. And unfortunately, at the start of the season, he probably, I don't know what the stat sheet says, he's probably taken 10 to 15, I'm not even sure. But he was like over for a lot. So we kind of said at some point, you probably need to put it away. You just couldn't get it. It's going to be in his game as a professional, it is. But you got to find a way. And the shot was in rhythm, it was inside out, it looked good for the minute it left his hands. It gave our bench a chance to laugh and lighten the moment up a little bit. And, you know, I'm happy for Horace. But the story is this. You got to go to your strengths and stay away from your weaknesses. That's not his strength. But he'd been putting in the work. He shoots a ton of them. And, you know, look, we set an SEC record all time for the most threes. We don't just make a lot of them. We shoot a good percentage. And we work at them really hard. And part of it is I love when bigs can face. Like what Silva's done, adding that ability to his game. You talk about hard to guard when your center can go out there and really, I mean, Anthony McLemore has proven that. We need it to get back on track for us to continue to advance in this tournament.
Question on the left side on the aisle.
Bruce, you guys were plus 16 in Chris Silva's 5 minutes when he wasn't on the floor. What were you guys able to take advantage of in those 5 minutes?
He is a very special, very impactful player. He protects the rim all by himself. So let's just say we've got matchups out there and we can attack those matchups. Well, congratulations. Meet Mr. Silva at the rim and life's going to change. So much of what they do offensively goes through him. And another thing, keep in mind, South Carolina is still shorthanded. Like us a year ago, they come into postseason play. Lawson is just now back. He's only able to get 13 minutes. They had some injuries early in the season. They had lost a few games at the end of the year because they went to Missouri and had like 6 guys, 7 guys. So I lived it a year ago. And obviously the fatigue, you look at the minutes, 34, 37, 35, 36, 35. They had 5 guys play very heavy minutes. And it was a factor at the end of the game.
There's a question in the middle on the left.
Bruce, you mentioned the record for three-pointers. What does it mean to have that record for your team?
Auburn basketball probably doesn't have many records in the history of the SEC, but we got one now. And I just think, you know, we're honored to be here. We are honored to be in a semifinal of the SEC tournament. We worked so hard to try to put ourselves in that position, but you got to do it. You know, you got to do it. So, you know, they'll certainly remember guys like Jared Harper or Bryce Brown. You know, D'Angelo made a couple of big shots. Samir made a couple of big shots. And, you know, a lot of guys, it's hard to guard when you can spread the floor like that.
Let's go question on the middle aisle.
You got Austin Wiley in there for a rotation. What did you see from him, and how important was it to get him back out there?
We were in deep foul trouble, and I didn't want to get in any deeper foul trouble. Austin has had a contact practice this week. He did great. He is not ready from a standpoint of able to perform, but he's not injured. And so it's really hard to have him out there and expect a ton from him. But he's a great teammate. He wants to help his team, you know, be out there. He's a part of it. And, you know, I think had we put him in a rotation, it would have meant less Horace Spencer. That probably wouldn't have been a good thing. So Austin is available. As we said, he's getting closer and closer, and depth is a good thing to have in March.
Other questions for Coach Pearl, down front on the right.
Coach, I know it's a short preparation, especially in this tournament, but and you had some success at home against them, but talk about the Florida matchup.
It's the first time we had beaten Florida at Auburn since 1999. It was the first time I'd beaten Coach White since he came into the league. He is a brilliant young coach. They are hard to guard. They switch a lot, so we're going to have to find ways to to be able to score on them. They're a dangerous team, too, because they spread it. And they're a very unique defense. Who switches 1 through 5? Very unique. So we played well. We played very well at home in our victory. So it was a great win for Florida over LSU. And so I don't know enough about yet, comment much more.
Got time for maybe one more question for Coach Pearl. Anyone? All right, let's take it right there on the left.
Bruce, you've talked about having Frank having your number in the past. Did you say anything to him after the game about having his number this time around?
No. You don't take any pleasure in beating a friend. Had we lost, I'd have been really happy for my friend, because it would have been a win that might have helped enhance their resume and get him in a tournament. South Carolina is so fortunate to have him as the leader of their program. If he had a couple more healthy bodies, he still would have my number.
Thank you.